Welcome, fellow explorers, to Discovering Grayslake podcast. My name is David Wool, and I'm your guide on this journey through the hidden gems and untold stories of our beloved Grayslake. Whether you're a longtime resident or just passing through, this podcast is your passport to the heart and soul of our community. Together, we'll uncover history, celebrate the present, and dream about the future of Grayslake. I'm doing my best to leave no stone unturned in our quest to discover what makes our town so truly special. Get ready for interviews with local legends, fascinating insights of our town's past with a sprinkle of the unexpected. I invite you to join me every week as we embark on this adventure together. This is the Discovering Grayslake podcast. A quick word from our sponsors and on to the show. It's time to unleash your style with custom shirts. Explore endless possibilities with Jammin' Tees. Whether it's for school, business, team, or events, Jammin' Tees has you covered, literally, for all your custom apparel needs. Hey there, Grayslake. Looking for a good time right in the heart of our awesome community? Well, look no further than the Grayslake Village Center, your one-stop destinations for all things fun and fabulous. Picture this. Historic downtown vibes with a mix of diverse businesses, shopping galore, and restaurants that'll make your taste buds dance. But that's not all. The Village Center is where the action is, with events happening year-round for the whole family. Take a stroll through Central Park, Gelatin Park, surrounded by trails, green spaces, and more activities than you could shake a sledding hill at. And when the weather warms up, dive into the Grayslake Aquatic Center for some splash-tastic fun. But wait, there is more. Visit GrayslakeVillageCenter.com to discover the incredible lineup of events happening every month. Want the 411 delivered straight to your inbox? Sign up for the Grayslake Village Center digital newsletter on the website, or check out their Facebook page for the latest happenings. Be in the know. Not sure what you're waiting for? Come on down, soak in the local vibes, and enjoy the experience that's unmistakably Grayslake. Grayslake Village Center, where the fun never stops. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I am here once again at Agora, thanks to Luke over here. If you're not familiar with Agora, we're right on the corner of Center Street and Atkinson. It's a co-working place. So if you're looking to get your business out of the home and just need a place to be by yourself for a while, come over and talk to Luke at Agora. So thank you for them for help sponsoring the show. So I am sitting with Patty Brown. Patty, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so a little backstory on how I got to. So Patty has Romney Brown Candle Company. Is that correct?
That is correct.
See, I told you I forget half of the things I do, but so I knew nothing about you at all.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with Kristen Cashmore, and she had just came to see you, and she looked at me and she goes, "How come you haven't interviewed Patty Brown yet?" And I'm like, who the hell is Patty Brown? And then she started telling me about you, and I was fascinated. So I was shopping local for Christmas, and we got to meet.
We did.
Yeah. So I think one of the reasons that I didn't know is because your shop is right on the corner. Okay, explain.
Washington and Whitney,
yes,
across from Emil's, in that one building where there's 3 shops.
Yes.
So
okay, so you have to walk in the hallway.
Yeah, you have to walk in through the front door to get to my shop.
And keep going straight.
Yep.
Because there's a yoga place in there, a realtor,
yeah,
and then you.
and then me.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I was fascinated by your shop, by the way.
Thank you.
So candles, but the funny thing, folks, is I think you need to stay tuned no matter where you're listening to this at, because I'm amazed at some of the things. So first of all, why do you start a candle shop?
Well, I started a candle shop because in 2020, when COVID hit, I had got pulled into HR and was told that I was going to be furloughed until COVID ended, which they thought was going to happen in November. They'll just be gone for a couple months. I did live corporate events, so I've traveled all over the world to do events for a couple different IT companies. And so this one said in June, just take the summer off and you'll be back before you know it. And I thought, wow, this is great. I've worked really since I was 12 years old, whether it was babysitting or whatever it may be. And then right from college, I started a job as an art director for MCI, the phone company, and really never had any time off. So I thought, this will be great. I'm just going to take off the summer. I'm going to sit by my pool. And a week into it, I thought, I can't do it. I can't sit still.
You can't relax.
I can't relax. I couldn't do it. And it's, you get the government money, and that's not going to pay your mortgage. I have 2 kids living at home and a mortgage, so I thought I've got to find something else to do. So I started to, I put some feelers out on Facebook, and I started mowing grass and weeding gardens in Grayslake. I'd put my mower, I'd use my 2x4s and wheel the mower into the back of my car, and then I'd drive around and mow people's grass for $20 an hour. And I did a couple houses in Grayslake pretty steadily, and I did a lot of weeding, like 12, 15-hour days of weeding.
You enjoyed that?
I did. I did.
There's nothing I'd not rather do.
Oh, well, and, listening to the other podcasts, I grew up with the father who, his grass had to be perfect. So I was that way too. Like, wouldn't let the husband mow the grass. I was like, don't touch my grass. If you're not going to do it the right way, I'll mow it myself. So I loved mowing grass, and it was being outside. So I did that. I got carpal tunnel syndrome from weeding so much because all that same movement.
Right.
I started to crochet with my mom, and it actually went away. So it cured my carpal tunnel. So I
think we talked about this too, and I would think that crocheting would make it worse.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a different movement, but it just, I'd wake up in the middle of the night in the summertime where my fingertips up to my elbows were numb. Like I'd have to wear braces at night.
That's horrible.
And then I started to crochet, and my mom and I started to do the little farmer's market.
Yeah.
I worked with the group that does the Grayslake Farmer's Market, and Julie set me up with my own little spot, so I would do my farmer's market in the summertime, and my mom would be there too, so it was a great way for my mom and I to really connect. And then my youngest daughter, she would come over too, and we'd sell hats and blankets and stuff like that.
Stuff's really cool, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I did a lot of that, and then in November, my boss said, hey, we're not bringing you back because this doesn't look like it's going to end, so you need to find something else to do with your life. And I thought, well, I'll just take off, from now until the beginning of the year, and in January, I'll start looking for a new job. But I had 30 years of experience doing trade shows and production and events, and no one's hiring. We're in the middle of COVID, so I kind of gave up on that whole trying to find a job. And my youngest, Sophie, and I had gone up to Lake Geneva. I've lived here since 2017, never been to Lake Geneva. So I said, let's just go to Lake Geneva.
That's strange, right?
So I said, all right. And my parents laugh at me because I moved here in 2017, and I never leave my 3-mile radius. Like, I shop local, the orthodontist is local, the doctors are local, so everyone makes fun of me that I don't ever leave my 3-mile radius of my house. So I said, all right, well, we'll go to Lake Geneva. And went up there. There was a place that had the same sort of concept with make your own candles. And Sophie at the time was 13. She's like, Mom, you should just do this in Grayslake. And I said, I've never made a candle before today. I wouldn't even know what to do. And I've never run a business. I've always worked for a corporation.
Right.
And she said, Mom, there's one thing that I have to say about you. And that is that no matter what goal you have ever set, you have always made your goals. So the pressure was on.
I guess so, especially from your daughter.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, Sophie, really? So I came back, and the shop that I'm in, that had been vacant for a long time. It was a yoga studio for a while. And so I went up to Jamie, the realtor next door to me, and said, can you tell me a little bit about the space? And she's like, oh, well, let me reach out to the owner. And I said, well, listen, obviously I can't, I'm just starting. I don't have a small business loan. All of this is coming from the small severance that I got from when I got let go from the company. So I said, can I write her a letter and tell her what, about my background and see what she has to say? So I wrote a letter, and she let me get the space.
That's awesome.
So that was, I think, January 18th, we went to the shop up in Lake Geneva, came back. February 1st, I signed the lease.
I love it.
I say it's like jumping into the deep end of the pool with no floaty and not knowing how to swim.
Right.
So I reached out to one of my good friends. He's like a second dad to me, Mr. Kevin Schick. And I said, hey, I know that you build stuff and you go to Hawaii and do all this architectural stuff. How'd you like to build a candle store with me? So I got the friends and family discount. And he came over, and in 7 weeks, we built out the shop. And I learned how to make candles, and we opened our doors in 7 weeks.
And if you haven't been in there, I think the first thing that you were telling me about, some of the really cool, like almost Grayslake artifacts in there. So if I wouldn't know, if you took the candles out, I would walk in, I think it's a bar.
Yeah.
It looks like a bar.
Yep. It's the whole entire counter from one end of the shop almost to the other is from doors that I either found in Grayslake, or I put on Facebook I was opening this place if people had doors from their old homes, the historical district. that I would gladly take them or, give you money for them. And everyone donated. The whole entire bar top is made out of doors that I got from people in Grayslake.
It's really cool.
So I think, and it's funny too, because people come in and that's the door from my old house, so, and then I use the doorknobs for the purses. So ladies got places to put their purses. And, I live close to Rockenbach's old house on Park Avenue. So he actually, there were windows up in the attic of the barn that's behind their house. And the lady asked me if I wanted any of those. So I have a divider in the space that's all made from old windows from Rockenbach and a couple other people that donated windows. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, the kitchen and bath place, they had an order of cabinet doors that somebody didn't want. So he gave me cabinet doors and I thought, I can't build cabinets.
Right.
So I just made an art piece out of them and that's hanging on the wall in there too. I learned how to tile. I learned how to drywall. So Kevin and I and Louie, the dog, sat there and 7 weeks later, we had the shop.
In 7 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a huge turnaround because it was a yoga studio before.
Yeah.
Wow.
It had, it had one bookshelf in it and everything else was just plain. So then I said I really had this vision of just having a really long bar for people to kind of come in and relax. And, the whole concept is, it's, people sell candles all over Grayslake.
Right.
So I'm not really selling a candle, I'm selling an experience. So whether you're coming in on a date night or you're coming in like during the holidays with your families all in town. I have one group, it's a husband and wife, and they live in Madrid. And every year they come to visit. She was a nanny to a group, family up in Libertyville, I think she said. But every year they come back to visit the family in Libertyville, but they bring their jars and they refill their candles. So that's a tradition for them now. So they'll bring their jar all the way from Madrid to come in and fill it every year.
You must feel honored when that happens.
Yeah,
that's really
it's
cool.
great. I mean, and everyone can refill their jars, so we're trying to kind of recycle stuff, but you can bring in cocktails so people sit there. We have a lot of school teachers that come in on Fridays after work.
Nice.
And they just kind of hang out, decompress, and have a good time.
So I can bring a bottle of wine in.
Yes,
and
you can.
You can sit and make a candle and have like a date night and make candles.
Yep.
That's cool. I like the fact that not only do you have pre-made, and I want to make sure everybody knows too, you don't have to make your own candle. There's hundreds of candles that are just for sale that just go
Correct.
and purchase and leave.
Yep.
Or you can have the experience, which that sounds like a lot more fun to actually sit and do that.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of interesting scents in there, by the way.
Yeah. Right now there's about 120. We have your basic Christmas one. I have one called Santa Farts, which is really kind of funny. It smells like sugar cookies. We've had cannabis in there. I've had smoke. We're moving into some tobaccos for the next season that's coming up. And
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So has so it's been successful?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has been great. And it's, I feel like a lot of it has to do with the community. They've just really been there for me. I am part of the chamber, and when I first reached out to Mary Beth from the chamber, she was very positive in saying, we'll have a ribbon cutting and we'll do an after-hour mixer and we'll do this. So she helped really kind of get the plan going.
Tell you what, the chamber does a great job for new business, stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So they did help a lot. So my whole thing was, how do I pay it back? So I joined the chamber. I joined the executive board. So I've been on the board for a couple of years now. And
so you're part of the executive board?
I am until December 31st because I've taken on a position of, I'm now their event planner. Since that's my background, they're now having me help out with all the events.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow, so that's cool. And we have so many events, and I think when I talk with Mary Beth, there's so much going on that you can only do so much, and how the planning starts, as soon as they're done with one event, they're starting a whole other one.
Yep.
Wow. We're going to talk event planning, but one thing that I had a request for is that we do our Grayslake hot seat questions a little earlier, because I think it helps because we get to learn a lot more about people, and it's fun for me because I get to know a lot more.
Okay.
So we're going to do our hot seat with Patty Brown.
It's time for the Grayslake Hot Seat. The Grayslake Hot Seat today is brought to you by Premier Chiropractic. Dr. John, conveniently located in historical downtown Grayslake. Premier Chiropractic offers you a full range of chiropractic care. John is dedicated to treating people within our community and showing them the benefit of great, convenient, affordable chiropractic care. So if you're looking to get straightened out, go see Dr. John at Premier Chiropractic. Now for the Grayslake Hot Seat.
All right, number one, if you had to have a superpower, what would it be?
Seeing into the future.
Nice. Place that I know you've traveled a lot of places, which we're going to discuss. So tell me a place that you would like to travel that you haven't traveled to.
Italy.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite TV show growing up?
I would have to say Magnum P.I.
Nice. No wonder you like Kevin Chick.
Yeah, exactly, right?
we used to have a lot of fun with Kevin. Funniest person you know?
Probably my sister.
Your first car you ever owned?
Oh my gosh. Well, my first car was a really cute, it was like that Pontiac Fiero, I think it was called. I drove it home, had no clue how to drive stick shift, but I bought it on my own. I drove it home, I pulled it into the driveway, and my mother said, absolutely not, you need to take that back to the store. She's like, you can't have that car. It's a red sports car. And I was, 19, 20 years old. So I drove it back, and I ended up trading it in for a Le Car. So that tiny little French car.
Yes.
With the retractable roof, which I thought was really funny because when you drove when it was raining, it would not come in the car. Like you could have the roof open.
Oh,
so
really?
Aerodynamic, the rain just went right over the top of it. But it was so lightweight that I went to Northern and parking was always really hard to get. I would come out in the morning and people would have lifted my car out of the parking spot and stuck it in the grass to park their car.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys at college that did that, by the way.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I'm probably sure it wasn't your car. Do you have a hidden talent?
I like to bake and cook.
Have you ever broke a bone?
No.
You've never broken a bone?
Never.
Wow. Okay. If you had to write a book, what would it be about?
Oh, it would be all the travel and event planning things that have happened.
Awesome. So now you've changed fields dramatically.
Yeah.
We've already talked about mowing yards to a candle shop to event planning. So if you had to have a job rather than that, if you could go back and say, this is what I want to do in a different field, what would you have done? I would love to be one of those people on NCIS. All right.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Would the 12-year-old version of you think you're cool?
Yes. Because I think my kids think I'm cool.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
That's cool, because I always think about 12 years old. I would probably have no idea what I would think I would be doing. Do you have a nickname?
No.
Really? Maybe we should give you one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. What do you wish that you would have learned sooner in your life?
What do I wish that I would have learned sooner? Golly, that's a really hard one. Probably just to trust people more and be more open to trusting people.
Interesting. Wow, that's very thought-provoking for me. I don't know, mine would be trust people less, I guess. Have you ever ate a roller dog from a gas station?
No, what is that? The hot dogs on the roller things? Yeah, no.
I'm starting a roller dog business. I think after the last episode I just recorded. But you've never had one?
No.
They got good stuff. And now that we're going to have a Casey's too.
I know.
I guarantee they're going to have roller dogs. And they're going to call me and thank me. I'll be waiting.
Do a broadcast from there.
From the roller dog capital of Grayslake.
Just interview people as they come up to the roller dog.
So what kind of roller dogs do you suggest? Yes. Yeah. Do you like the taquitos? Do you like the hot dogs? What is your middle name?
Ellen.
If you had to have a theme party at your house, I can't wait to hear your answer. What would it be?
A theme party at my house.
Yeah.
I would have to do something like, I would say like an 80s theme party.
80s. Can't beat it. From 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
Oh, I'm an 11. Right. 100%. Now, if you ask anybody else in my family, they would not say that.
Hey, perception is reality. That's all that matters. Did you play a sport in high school or in a club or band or anything like that?
Well, I went to Stevenson High School. Gotcha. And I did basketball, I did softball, and I was in the marching band.
Wow, you're a busy woman. Anything in college?
No.
Didn't carry it out there. 1 to 10, 10 being the most likeliest, what's the chance that Bigfoot exists?
I would probably say an 8.
See, I knew there's a reason I liked you. What is your favorite Grayslake event?
My favorite Grayslake event, well, you know what, I did the beer fest this year.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Great.
I thought that was great. I think Elizabeth, I worked with Beth Davies on it.
Yeah.
It was, because I didn't get to go the year before, so.
Did you work it or did you play there?
I worked, I was a bouncer,
Yes.
which was fun. That would probably be my ultimate job, actually, to be a bouncer. I would love to be a bouncer.
I'd be deathly afraid of you, by the way.
So yeah, I would say that was probably my favorite one.
It's really cool how they bring our community, but then other people come. Like, that's a big deal. People come from all around.
Yeah.
And we run one of the best beer fests out there, in my opinion. So if you and I were going to go out for a drink right now, in Grayslake, where would be your favorite place to go for a drink?
Center Cut.
Center Cut. All right, what would you drink?
I've been drinking a lot of tequila and tonic.
Yeah, I just started doing that, but with soda. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
bad.
And I am good friends with Jess, who works there. She's amazing. I like her.
Awesome. Okay. If you have listened to a podcast, which you said you have, what's your favorite one you've listened to so far?
Well, I've only started, and the only ones I've listened to are yours.
Okay.
So
which episode?
The episode, well, it's a tie. I mean, I really liked the one with the coach, the baseball coach. But then I thought the two ladies that took over Paris, Mona Ray.
Yes. Yeah.
They were hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought they were hilarious.
They're really fun. And they were so casual, and I love both of them. They were just really funny. When you eat tacos, do you tilt your head to the right or to the left?
To the left.
To the left. Okay. There's one on here that I never ask, and I'm just going to leave it that way for now. If you had to bring somebody that's never been to Grayslake to here to show them around our town, to show them how cool it is, where would you take them first and why?
Well, I would probably, my girlfriend from Darlene has always wanted to come here. She lives in Atlanta. I would probably have her come in and we would go to Center Cut for dinner. And then the next day I would take her to all the little shops. Like we've got some new shops that have just opened up. Blush has got a great, now their place is amazing.
Beautiful.
And then we've got another shop that's opening up where the old videographer and photographer were.
Yes, yeah. What is that going to be?
She's got clothing and stuff in there. Okay. So I just keep peeking through the window like a stalker because I'm waiting for her to open.
It's fun when new stuff opens like that.
Yeah. So I would have to say that I would definitely take them there. And then obviously we'd have to go to Light the Lamp for a beer, and then we'd have to go to Tom's place, First Draft. And
yes. You can tell that Patty doesn't enjoy cocktails at all.
No.
You've not named anywhere that you want to go where you want to go. So you basically take them on shops and a bar crawl.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. As you should. We were kind of discussing this a little bit before, is what kind of business do you think Grayslake needs that we don't have?
Well, we do have a lot of restaurants. However, we don't have like a good Greek restaurant. Or a sit-down, like we've got Leona's, right, which is at the end of Center Street, which is amazing. Her food is phenomenal. But we don't have like a good sit-down Italian restaurant in downtown Grayslake, which I think would be great. Because I walk everywhere. I mean, obviously, I don't leave my 3 miles unless I absolutely have to. So that would be something. The other thing I actually was like, I really want to open a late-night macaroni and cheese bar. So like after chemos and all those.
Can you do that in your candle shop and transform like?
I know, right?
Right, like a
just
late night snack. Just where you go at night, and instead
of having like the Chipotle where they've got like the toppings you pick, you just go through the whole line and pick whatever toppings you want for your mac and cheese.
I love it. Okay, let's get on that.
Okay.
Maybe can I have a roller dog station right next to it?
Sure.
Okay. We
cut them up and stick them in the mac and cheese.
Exactly. All right, we're going to stop there and we're moving on because there's a lot of other things that I want to cover with you. So thank you for participating.
Sure.
Hello, Grayslake. It's Randy Cashmore with Cashmore Financial Group. It's no secret that I love our village, and a big reason for that is my membership with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce. If you haven't taken a look at the Grayslake Chamber lately, you should. We're a wonderful group of business people creating a positive difference in the village we call home. Reach out and get involved today. You'll be glad you did.
Grayslake, are you ready for some nonstop fun with the Grayslake Park District? Hundreds of classes, programs, community events, all designed to keep those smiles shining. Explore over 240 acres of parks, each a playground of excitement. Safety is their priority, ensuring a good time for all ages. From kids to the young at heart, the Grayslake Park District has something for everyone. Grab your seasonal program guide for memories that'll last a lifetime. Your adventure begins with the Grayslake Park District, where fun knows no limits.
Okay, let's talk about charity work that you've done.
Well, I mean, right now I'm running something in my shop for keeping families covered. So it's an organization that either raises money or takes donations for people that cannot afford diapers. So this group has, I think they've raised, today I looked at it was over 7 million sets of diapers they've gotten, or diapers.
Wow.
So I did it last year. I actually met the group through Zoe. She's the trustee. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's good friends with the lady who started the group. And so she said, would you be interested in doing like a evening cocktail party? I said, sure. So we did one of those, and I think I donated $5 for every candle that was made. Okay. And then at Christmas time, instead of doing the Toys for Tots, I had a little box that I collected diapers and wipes for her last year. So then this year I said to Zoe, because I saw one of their trucks driving around, I said, hey, I'd like to do this again this year with the diapers. And I said, but this year, instead of just dropping off diapers for really no reason other than being nice, I am going to give anybody who brings in a set of diapers 20% off their candle making, but then I'm also going to donate that 20% back. So the diaper place would get the money back too. So I've been doing that. And then I made the mistake of saying to Zoe, we should make this a competition.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so Jody, Sink Mars is in a competition with me on who gets the most diapers donated.
Bring it, Jody.
So I am, in fact, I've got to go get some more diapers today because someone gave me some money. I sold a blanket and I gave the lady a discount, and she's like, well, just take that money and go buy some diapers. So
that was nice.
I'm going to go do that. But that's huge for me. Like, I'm always the person that's trying to do stuff like that. Even when I was doing my event planning, I did a lot of corporate events where we'd bring in customers and they could bring their spouses, and we did customer appreciations, and I always try to give people options because they get to either go golfing or, drive race cars, stuff that you don't normally do, right? Drive a race car, cook with the chef. But I always try to roll in some sort of community service to that too. So I've done Build a Bike. So we've built bikes. I did a program in Hilton Head, and I worked with a group there called Build a Bike, and we worked with the local Boys and Girls Club. And the kids that were on honor roll, they had no idea, but they were going to come over to the hotel that we're at. And we had a group of people that just build bikes for these kids. And so when they got off the bus and they came in the ballroom, we had all these bikes for the kids. And they got the bikes, they got to drive them, they got the helmets, and they got to take those away. We videotaped the whole thing. And then that night when we had our big gala dinner, I had a video crew. They edited the whole video. We showed it as an opener for the dinner, and there wasn't a dry eye in the place. It was such a feel-good thing. So I've done stuff like that. I've done First Book, which is another great group. When I first started working for this last IT company, I think I started in June, and November's around and they want to talk about gifts, and everyone gives the wine or the cookies and stuff. And I had said to the CEO, because I was friends with him, I said, I really don't think we should do wine. I mean, some people, they get offended if you send them wine, and it's really just, unless it's a really good bottle, I wouldn't even bother doing it. Right. So I came up with an idea where we created a platform that I worked with a group called First Book, and that's a group that also does a lot of stuff for underprivileged schools, and their job is to raise money and buy books for schools that can't afford the books, or build backpacks for kids that can't afford all the school supplies. So I said, let's put together a program so that when we're sending this holiday card to the CEO of MasterCard, instead of sending them a bottle, we sent them a letter saying, hey, this year, instead of sending a gift, we're giving you the opportunity to pick anywhere in the world that you would like us to make a donation in your name to First Book. So I did that for 3 years while I was there. I think we did over 1 million books.
Wow.
And then we did build backpacks on one of the events. I brought in all the supplies, and we built backpacks for schools in Brooklyn. So we did that, which was really cool. I've done building wheelchairs for veterans, which was really cool. So we did that. And then we had a silent auction where I had a professional surfboard artist come in, and he painted a surfboard during our opening reception because it was in Orange County. So we did like the Beach Boys kind of theme, and someone bid $4,000 on the surfboard. His company matched the $4,000. And then he took the surfboard and he donated it to a company that built wheelchairs for people in India. And then they turned around and re-raffled it off. So just stuff like that. I really like doing that kind of stuff. Or for me, it's hard for me to spend $200 on a centerpiece at a corporate event, right? Like they're flowers, people are going to throw them away, or they'll recycle them and send them to someone else. So I started doing things where instead of doing florals or whatever, I did an event in Boca Raton, and we did a Cuban night, a Havana night. And so what I did is I had all the centerpieces were made out of non-perishable items. And at the end of the night, all that was donated to a soup kitchen in that area.
That's
so
fantastic.
They did that. And then the next night we did something where, sea turtles are endangered, right? And when you do events in Florida, you can have lights on past 10 o'clock because the turtles migrate and they'll come onto the pool deck, right? Which we don't want them there. So the second night I did a little thing of sand. We had a little fake turtle in it. And then I had a little note that said all of the money that I would have spent on centerpieces went back towards turtle research. So just do stuff like that, awesome. Just to try to give back. And
it's money that's already being spent, so you just repurpose to help.
Right. So that's why I try to do a lot of that now. Like I said, when I lost my corporate job and had to find something else to do and pivot and learn how to become a candle maker, I was nervous, obviously. I'm signing a lease. I'm doing all this stuff. And then Grayslake really was there to kind of help me and push me forward. So I do a lot of stuff where I'm trying to, a couple times a year, I'll bring in local small businesses and they can, I don't sell candles at that point. I just do little pop-ups. So like I've had a lady, Sugar and Sage, Beth, she's come in and done her cookies. I work with a lady from a group called Threads, and that group is ladies from third world countries that make jewelry. And then this organization called Threads will go around and sell the jewelry, and then the money goes back to help stop sex trafficking. So I do little events like that every quarter if I can, just to kind of help get the word out and just give back, because I think that's important.
It's hugely important. Wow. I commend you for all of that. That's a lot.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And I like doing it, and it makes, it makes me feel good, and I feel like it's good for my kids to see that too. Like I want them to be conscious about that stuff.
Right, and it's good for everybody listening to this, because I always say when people talk about the charity they do, I always feel like I'm not doing enough, or if there's something else we can do. So, back to the diaper thing that you're doing, is that something that's ongoing at your shop?
It's till the end of the year, so you got a couple more days.
Gotcha.
And then,
will you be doing the same thing next year?
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. 100%.
So, and how does the public help with that? So it comes to next year, and they're looking for something to do or something to give back.
Yeah, starting right around Thanksgiving week, I'll put the box out, and then we'll just have that. I always put stuff on Facebook too, if I'll do other stuff during the year. I worked with, I had one girl that worked for me at the shop, and she was doing there was a club at the high school. And so she did a drive where she was trying to build kits for new moms, and, whether it was formula or bottles or lotions or whatever. So she ran a huge, she actually went to state for it. So she did this huge initiative to try to raise money. So we rolled that into it. I did an evening where any money went towards this club that she was in. My daughter's on the Pride team. So for the lovely Halloween trick-or-treating, I did a raffle, and we raised money for Pride. So I raised about $600, I think, for the Pride team. I did a 50-50 raffle, and then I raffled off a gift card, and then the lady who does my hair, she raffled off a gift card, and So we do stuff like that. So I do stuff throughout the year, and it's always on Facebook if we're doing stuff.
Okay, and they're following Romney Brown. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then let's get back, and why is it Romney Brown?
Okay, so it is Romney Brown because my grandpa came from Germany, Witthof, Germany, at 17 by himself. Like, left his whole family there, came to America, came through Ellis Island, was a scooper at an ice cream shop in Brooklyn, New York. So he did that for a while, and then he became an apprentice at a knitting mill. And he learned, obviously, how to knit and crochet, and he taught my mom, who's now taught me. And he worked there for a while and ended up buying the place, the factory. It was called Romney Knitting Mill. So Romney is for my grandpa because that was the name of his company. Uh-huh. And Romney's a kind of sheep from England. So I took the Romney for him, and if you come into my store, there's a little boy's sweater, like a little baby boy's sweater in a shadow box. Yes. That's the last sample sweater he made in 1963. So it's in a little shadow box.
I got to see it. Yeah, it's really cool.
He was like the sole provider for women's sweaters at JCPenney's back in the day. And
really?
Yeah. So he was a brilliant man.
That's really cool.
So my mom and I were joking one day when we were crocheting for the farmer's market, and I go, I gotta think of what to call this company. Like, we're making all this stuff. What do we call it? She goes, how about Romney Brown? I'm like, oh, that's perfect, Mom. So
that's great.
It was for her. So anytime we talk about the story, my mom gets all teary-eyed. So
that's really great, though. And you neglected one piece of information. So next to the shadow box, there's a little photo there.
Oh, yes, of me in like 1984 with my dark brown hair. People are like, is that really you? Yeah.
Did you make it that small on purpose, the photo, just so I couldn't see it?
I know. I really should make it bigger.
You should make
it bigger. Because it's like the size of a quarter.
It's really cute, though.
So, yeah.
Seeking a haven for your soul? Look no further than Inner Haven Spiritual Development Center, where your spiritual journey is uniquely yours. Artisans, storytellers, healers, teachers, spiritual warriors find guidance, support, and a haven for your inner self. Inner Haven is your sanctuary for transformation and discovery. Step into Inner Haven's art gallery, a haven within a haven. Immerse yourself in a world of joy where art, repurposed treasures, and specialty gifts await. They're not kidding when they say almost everything in their space is for sale. Discover a constant flow of new creations, all crafted by local artists who pour their hearts into every piece. It's just not shopping, it's an experience. Accent your home and find the perfect gift for a loved one at Inner Haven Art Gallery. Your journey begins at Inner Haven, where every piece has a story and every soul finds its haven.
Okay, so we have Romney Brown Candle Company. So now are you still doing events?
Yeah, I have a company called Romney Brown Events.
Now, how did you name that company? Just kidding.
That one has got its own website too now, finally. I had some help with that. So that one I've got like four clients right now, and I'm doing, I do all the work for the Palm Beaches down in Florida, so all their trade shows and help with their events. And then I've got a medical device company that I'm doing stuff for. And it's just word of mouth. It's people that I used to work with that are just looking for freelance artists to come in and help. And I just did an event at the Diamondback Stadium. So we rented out the Diamondback Stadium and did a corporate event there. Yeah, so it's been awesome. Great. And, I'm my own boss, and I'm not having to deal with corporate America. And I bring in people as I need them. So if I need freelancers, I've got a whole group of people that used to work with me. And if I need people to work a registration desk, I'll call them up and say, hey, we've got this gig coming up for 4 days. Can you come down and help? So
that's awesome. And unfortunately, I've been involved in a lot of trade show things and all these conventions and everything go up. So planning that is a big deal, and to pull it off, awesome, and especially to be creative and have different ideas. Like you've already spoke of the charity things that you do. You seem like you have a passion for that.
I do. Once this whole thing happened, when, the group let me go, I was just really kind of like, do I really want to do this anymore? You know what I mean? Like, right. And I thought, well, maybe I could just do the candle shop and that would sustain, and it doesn't really sustain, but everyone loves it and it's part of the community now. But I was like, I really do miss doing the events. And we started doing little events in the shop, which I think started to get me back into, well, maybe I should start thinking about doing this.
And having your own, you can do as many or as little as you'd like. You don't have to be there, right?
Exactly.
And you get to choose your clients, and I'm sure that you already know them, so you know which ones you'd like to work for and the ones that you probably don't.
Yeah.
All right. Let's tell Grayslake a really cool story. Everybody likes celebrity stories, by the way. Not to feel like me.
Oh, well.
Because you've met a lot of celebrities,
I have met a lot of celebrities. We hired Derek Jeter for the first event after he retired, so he did a fireside chat at one of the meetings that we had.
How cool!
Was great.
I'm a big baseball fan, so
yeah, he was great. I've rented out Fenway Park, and we had the gentleman that hit. He's a legend player. He had hit the foul ball that hit the little boy along the third base line in the head. I can't remember what his name is.
I don't either.
So I rented out Fenway Park the year that they won the World Series, so we got the trophy there. And then I had this gentleman, the legend player. He came and signed baseballs for everybody. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
That was a really good one. I think probably my most favorite place to work, though, has been Switzerland, because I used to do the World Economic Forum. So I'd set a pavilion there, and that place is just beautiful. It's breathtaking.
Really?
Yeah, it was so
Is
much
it one
fun.
of your favorite places to be?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's like if you took Grayslake and stuck it in the middle of a bunch of mountains, that's how Davos is. It's very, it's a small town, but because it's really hard to get in, there's only one way in and one way out. They have it there because it's security. It's so much easier to keep track of everything. So that's why it's in this podunk little town.
Surrounded by mountains.
Surrounded by mountains. And it's just breathtaking. Like there's a Geneva, Switzerland, which is like the sister of Geneva down by St. Charles. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. Okay, so strange to me that you mentioned these events that you do, and you named 3 baseball stadiums. Are you a baseball fan then?
Well, no, I was a baseball fan. Arnold Palmer was my favorite. I was 22 in softball because he was 22. But I've rented out the top of the Freedom Tower and done cocktail parties. I've done fireworks in the Hudson River with the Statue of Liberty behind us. We were on a water taxi.
Awesome.
Rented out museums. So it's just, I've done Wimbledon. We've had guests come to Wimbledon for 3 days. So I've been blessed. I've had a really, really good chance of doing some fun things.
Okay, so how do you get into that? And how do you get to the scale that was? Did you, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be?
No, well, when I was a little, I don't know if when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an artist. So I went to Northern, and back in 1984, I started with a program that was called computer animation. Electronic media, they called it back then. And, I thought, I'll just try this. Because I'm not a really good drawer, right? I can take photos and I can do other things, but I was never really a good person that could sit down and do still lifes. So my professor came in one day. He's like, I'm leaving. It's been great working with all of you. We did a lot of animation on the old IBM CPUs where you'd have to do the DOS programming to make the line move from one side of the screen to the other, before now with the Macs and moving things. Yeah. So he came in one day. He's like, yeah, I got invited to come to this startup company in California called Pixar. So I'm leaving, but you guys, have at it with your degrees. So I have a degree to do Toy Story movies.
Wow.
Just was not going to do it. It was too DOS programming at the point. It's not like it is now where 4-year-olds can pretty much make a movie. So that's how I started with that. And then, I went into the 2D design end of it. And then I got a degree, a BFA. And then I worked as an art director for MCI, the phone company, for about 12 years. Designing custom calling cards, and then it was, can you do all the, slides for the sales meeting for us? Can you do the invitation for this event? Can you do the invitation for that event? So it's been 30 something years. So it's kind of just grown over time. And then, you have to bring in customers to customer events, and you're competing with other IT companies. You have to figure out how are you going to make your event stand out from their event, and what experience are you going to give them that they're not going to get from somebody else. I worked for the one IT company that I worked for was an Indian-based company. I became really good friends with the number 4 Indian chef in the world. He would travel around with us and do all our food. And that was just obviously something that nobody else was doing.
Right.
So
You had the traveling chef with you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that's when you were working there. So it's with IT companies that you were running
the big ones. Yeah, the big ones. Now I've got a medical device company that I work with, and one of my old bosses from one of the IT companies just reached out for me to help out with some of his IT stuff. So
that's nice. How much of that stuff do you want to do? Because it sounds like you've traveled a lot.
I have traveled a lot. I'm not ready to give it up. Like, I'm not ready to say I want to cut it down to 2 customers. I think doing the chamber stuff is really going to keep me more tuned into what's happening here. Right. But I still love to travel, and I still love getting out there. And it's more about like creating an experience, just like the candle store. I'm creating an experience where people are going to be like, oh, the Madrid couple that came in, they come every year, or grandma and grandpa came with the grandkids, and you name your candles so they have like a little label on them on what they want to call it based on their experience.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's always been about creating an experience. Even when it comes to the charity stuff, it's like, okay, how do I roll in an experience that's a feel-good experience for my participants? Yeah, I could have gone golfing, or yeah, I could have done a cooking class with so-and-so, or we could have done wine pairings, but I actually did something that made me feel good to watch the kids feel good.
Right. Wow. Okay, so I think that everybody listening's probably got some high expectations to see what's going to happen with our Grayslake events here. Well, it's got to be fun, though, because you've seen so much, and usually people that plan local events all the time don't have anywhere near the experience that you have. So I'm sure that your ideas bringing to the table are probably going to, hopefully they're received very well.
Yeah.
So that hopefully they'll have a very open mind. Because I can't even imagine what it's going to be.
There's a good group. We've got a lot of people that help. So like the next one coming up is the Skate in the Park on January 13th.
Yes.
Which will be awesome.
Yeah. It's such a cool thing. Just the whole Skate in the Park thing is just a great, another community thing, because most people on the show say that our town needs more things to have for the kids to do.
Yeah.
And that is a great example of stuff to get kids out and do that. Because kids just don't get out as much as they did when we were kids to go ice skating or to like, because it's a pretty big ordeal if you have to go ice skating, right? If it's super cold out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it will be cold enough though with this weather.
I know. It's going to be like,
puddle.
It's going to be 3 feet of snow in March and April, probably is what's going to happen. Yeah. Okay, so your executive committee that you work with there, how many people are on the executive committee?
There was, I think, 6.
Okay.
And a couple of us are, well, obviously I'm leaving. I think a couple other people are too, but we got some new ones in, which I think are great. I went to the last meeting and I was super excited about some of the stuff they brought up. So
good. When we had Beth Davies on, it was really cool because the compliments that I heard were, it was nice to have her explain kind of how the Grayslake kind of governmental things work, and with Mary Beth on how hard the chamber is trying to do to make great things for our town. And hopefully this is bringing light to, there's people that complain about no matter what we do, right? But I think that people in our town should feel very fortunate that we keep moving forward. We're not standing still. We're not moving backwards. We're always trying to improve things. Yeah,
and our numbers are growing. Not just chamber members, but the people that come to the events, those numbers are growing.
Yeah.
So
it seems like there's so many community events happening and local businesses that are having events that really bring our community in bringing them together and giving more options for people to do stuff.
Yeah, we get a couple more that aren't on the calendar that we might be pushing through.
All right.
To push through. I'll help with that. So.
Good. I can't wait to hear about those as well. So you have your events doing, candle things. Is there anything else that you want to do? Are you happy with this?
I'm happy with this. I mean, I got my crocheting, which I pretty much do every night.
And people can find those also on your Facebook page, too. Is it just Facebook that you're on, or you're on the Instagram?
I'm on both. Facebook, Instagram.
And it's Romney Brown.
Yeah, Romney Brown.
Yeah, they're not going to, it should be a pretty easy find for them.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So but most of the stuff's there. Most of the stuff I sell in the store, like the blankets and stuff, I don't put on our website because they're sold out before I can, you know what I mean? Like I post a picture of it on Facebook and someone would be like, hold it, I'm coming in tomorrow to get it.
Wow.
So my blankets go pretty fast.
How long does it take to make a blanket?
Like 20 hours.
Are you kidding me? How do you decide what to charge for something like that?
I make like $5 an hour, basically, on crocheting, but I have one lady, I love her to death. Her son is really good friends with my son. I think she's got like I want to say 7 or 8 blankets that she's bought. She asked me to make one for her mom. Her mom is maybe 5'0" and she has a California king bed. So I had to make a California king blanket, which took like 20 things of yarn. And then she wanted a queen size. So I literally made a queen size blanket. I had to fly to Brazil it was a 30-hour trip. So I brought the yarn with me on the plane and crocheted an entire queen size blanket sitting in my little coach seat.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I came back. I'm like, okay, I finished. She's like, I thought you had to go to Brazil. I said, I did. I basically made the entire blanket on the airplane.
Wow.
So.
That's great. How many airline miles do you have?
Almost 2 million on American. Yeah. I just want that next status, that concierge key. I've got like executive platinum, but it's that concierge key, that special invite.
How many do you need for that?
Oh, it's just like a secret.
It's a secret club.
You're secretly invited to it.
Gotcha.
But it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you get it, but then there's no guarantee you're going to get it the next year.
Of
so
course.
Then it's like, okay.
I've seen this kind of thing happen. It's like you have to.
It's like a George Clooney movie. They call your name, they bring you to the plane on the little cart with the little person in the red suit, and then you get on before anybody else gets on the plane. And
wow, fancy.
I hit 1 million miles literally in the air on my birthday, so I had visions of like that George Clooney movie where they come out with the cake and everything. I got nothing.
How'd that work out for you?
I was like, okay, well, that didn't work out very well. But,
so at least you have miles you can fly for anywhere for personal stuff.
Yeah.
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 That's
We do a lot of that. I booked all the flights for the family vacation with points and staying at a Hyatt with all the free Hyatt points. But
of course.
Yeah.
That's good. Because your parents are going to be celebrating a big anniversary. 59
years married. My dad turned 80 in October. Bob, my mom turned 80 January 2nd. And they have literally been together since first grade. Like, they didn't even... My dad says he dated somebody else, but my mom's like, you never dated anyone else. So they have literally been together since first grade.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think when you told me that story, I'm like, and they still like each other.
Yes, it depends on the day, but for the most part, yeah.
So you're doing a special trip for you guys.
So taking the whole... I mean, I have a small family, so there's like 12 of us are all going to go on a cruise, and we're like cabinet right next to each other.
How awesome is that going to be?
It's going to be great, but there'll have to be some, ground rules set in place.
Some boundaries.
The 18-year-old's going to sleep till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're just going to have to let it go.
Right. Because we know we can't control. I have a 19-year-old home I think their clock is completely off.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I like to sleep, so when they're sleeping 5 hours after I get up, that's bad.
Yeah. So I'm going to have a little talk with some of the older folks that are coming on the trip.
Nice. Very nice. You're an extremely interesting person, by the way, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the stories of all that. And you should write that book.
Yeah, I mean, there have been so many freak things. I mean, I did an event in, New Mexico, where we rented out like a TV set, an old Western set. And then they said, don't worry, it was like June. It never snows here. It'll be totally fine. And then I get everybody out there to this deserted Western town, and it literally started snowing in the middle of our event. She's like, it has never snowed here. I'm like, well.
So what do you do then? The show must go on, right?
They all went into the little props, like the little storefronts and stuff, and they're all huddled around little heaters. And I did an event in Palm Desert, and a freak windstorm. I had, who was it? Jim Blossoms was playing for us the following day. So the first night was just a reception, like in the courtyard.
Yeah.
A freak windstorm came, and literally it was a micro wind burst. It sucked the entire reception, all the tables, all the chairs, the bar. It sucked everything up into the air, and it was gone. Like, there was just a patio left. I opened up the door to look to see what was going on, and the person from the hotel, the convention services manager, was holding on to like a patio umbrella, floating past like Mary Poppins, past the doorway. I was like, I should just write a book with all these freaky things that have happened.
Right. So did the Jim Blossoms play the next night?
They did, but people were freaky. They didn't want to go outside. I mean, I did it in a canyon, so the whole back of us was like they roll in the semi that opens up to the big stage, and they were a little nervous to go out because they're just like, oh, what if it's... I mean, we didn't even know the storm was coming. It just like, boom, it was there, and then it poured. And then, so yeah, they were a little nervous. They did go out, but they were a little nervous to go out there. But yeah,
wow,
that was fun.
How fun! Yes, you better start writing that. Maybe quit crocheting for a while.
I know, right?
Right. Just
take some lessons from Z on how to write a book.
And like I always say, I'm always been impressed with how many Grayslake authors there are.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we have a couple more shows coming up that people are having books that are being published, and that I never even knew. Like,
yeah, we have a lady that's on HBO here too.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm. She's amazing. She's coming to make a few candles.
Nice. You should see the hit list of people that I have that I'm still trying to rope in my time and in their time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Anything else you want to share with Grayslake? I don't want to.
No, I absolutely love being here.
Okay. Thank you.
It's such a great town.
It is we live in a very extraordinary place,
mm-hmm.
and it's great, and it just keeps getting better. So thank you for the service that you're doing to make it better too.
Thank you.
All right. So if somebody wants to book a party, somebody wants to come in,
they can just go to romneybrown.com,
okay.
and they can book it right online, like a restaurant. You pick the time, you pick the day.
Awesome. And somebody that wants to schedule, obviously the candle making things are probably by appointment, correct?
Yep, they can do that right online too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I encourage everybody to do that, and supporting local business and having an experience at the same time.
Yes.
Which is very cool.
Yes.
Patty, pleasure to meet you. Grayslake, get online, make sure on Facebook and on Instagram you follow Romney Brown Candle. Is it Romney Brown Candle Company? But if you know somebody needs a great event plan, then
the Romney Brown events.
Yeah, exactly. Get them through there. So once again, if you're listening to this, make sure that you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. And you know what? Do me a favor also, if you like the show, if you're listening on whatever platform too, give us a review. I mean, even a 1-star helps me. Mm-hmm. I mean, and if you hate me, let me know. But either way, we appreciate any review that you give. And if you do go into any local stores on their Facebooks, there's always a place to review them too. So, and it helps businesses out so much, whether it's a Google review, whether it's a Facebook review, do that, because that's what makes the world go round, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Grayslake, thank you so much for thinking, Patty.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see everybody next Tuesday.
Okay.